Hi, good afternoon guys, it's Jeff, the Godless Scammer. I'm back again. Do you know what that is? That is the sweet, delicious taste of Onision's tears. Your actions finally come back to bite you in the ass, Greggy Poo. No, sorry, I shouldn't say Greggy Poo. I think Repsion has that trademarked. I just kind of like it. For those who don't know already, and I expect most of you probably do, Onision's Patreon has gone bye-bye. That's it. You're right. He's been kicked off that platform. And I love it. I just love it. Now, I've wanted to maybe get ahead of the game and get this video out a bit earlier today. As soon as I sort of got up this morning, I sort of saw, oh my God, you know, this has been breaking news, and I was sort of read. So I really wanted to sit down and record a video. Unfortunately, I've got this pesky little thing called a job which I had to go to, and you know, so that got put off for a little while until now. However, actually proved to be kind of good in a way, because got a little bit of time just to sort of stick my headphones in whilst I was working, and listen to a few other people's videos about it and everything that's happened. And wow, I'm using the word wow intentionally, as those who may have seen Onision's video from like last night may be aware. So he's kicked off a Patreon. And what was he kicked off? So what was he kicked off a Patreon for? The dumbass was caught doxing. More specifically, he was caught doxing Billy. Billy, one of the exes, who's made a lot of the allegations against him. I'm not going to go over everything again about all the allegations, because I've done a couple of videos on this already, and other people have done it. I don't need to do that. I will say Billy did appear on with Chris Hansen about a week or so ago, and I would say, of all the people who've been on there, Billy seemed the one who was, I think, still finds this very, very difficult to talk about. So Onision put out some old saved text messages that he had he'd exchanged with Billy a number of years ago, including it had Billy's phone number on there. So that's doxing. It's giving out private information without consent. If you give someone's telephone, an email address out, something like that, that is doxing. And to be honest, I think sharing text messages and DMs without permission is pretty scummy to me. Well, it's unethical. I wouldn't say scummy. It's unethical to me. It's not, it's got to be a very, very good reason. Now, I know some of these drama channels kind of do that anyway, but I generally get the idea that there's a bit of consent about this. But this certainly was not the case with Billy, and she certainly didn't want her phone number out there. So, so I did mention Chris Hansen a bit earlier. Now I'll be talking a bit about Chris Hansen in a bit, because it seems he may have played a role in this story. But I'm going to read this article out from TheVerge.com, who picked up on this. Controversial YouTuber banned from Patreon after alleged doxing. First of all, it wasn't alleged. He was caught red-handed with this, okay? On Tuesday, Patreon banned the controversial YouTuber Onision after he allegedly doxed. We just covered that allegedly point. A woman who says he harassed her and manipulated her into a sexual relationship. Onision, who is also known as Gregory Jackson and James Jackson, has been a popular creator for nearly a decade on YouTube. I have no fucking idea why, honestly. I don't know. Some people get his humour or whatever. I never did, but that's just me. Often including a rotating cast of fans, friends and girlfriends in his videos. At least 6 women are now accusing him of harassment and emotional abuse. On Sunday night, Onision tweeted screenshots of private text messages between himself and another YouTuber, Billy Dawn Webb. Webb is a former fan who recently accused Onision of pressuring her into sex with him and his current partner. One of those screenshots contained Webb's phone number. Twitter forbids its users from posting the personal information of others, like non-public phone numbers and email addresses, without their express consent, and the tweet was removed within an hour of being posted. It just says here, reach for comment. Twitter pointed The Verge to its private policy on private information, saying the screenshots do not violate the platform's rules. However, screenshots including phone numbers do. The tweet may have been removed before Twitter saw any such reports. I'll get onto what Twitter in a bit. Patreon spokesperson confirmed to The Verge that it considered those accusations to be doxing, which violates its platform's rules, and justified Onision's ban. Yes, we removed Onision from Patreon as he violated our bullying and harassment conditions. As it relates to doxing, a Patreon spokesperson told The Verge, Patreon has a strict policy against doxing, even if it occurs outside the company's platform. Patreon does not allow creators to use Patreon to fund the practice of doxing. Patreon says in a blog post, our community guidelines clearly prohibit doxing and say that any creator caught in the act of malicious doxing or encouraging others to do so may be banned from using Patreon. The article continues, reach for comment. Onision, they got a comment out of him, was confused about why the ban had been levied. That I broke up with Webb in 2016. She'd been upset with me ever since. I posted the screenshots where I complimented our relationship all those years ago, expressing how sad I was I couldn't work it out. He's confused about the ban. I've got so much to come back on this article in a minute. Before being banned, Onision had around 560 supporters on Patreon. So, what's that? Probably bringing him in, I don't know, somewhere between $1,500 to $2,000 a month in dollars. I'm guessing. I'll be a fair estimate. In recent months, at least 6 women have come forward with stories of allegedly abusive relationships with Onision and his partner, YouTuber Cool Guy Kai. Several women have come forward alleging that Onision and Kai befriended them online and pressured them into inappropriate situations. Some, like Webb, alleged they were harassed online after their fallings out, and Onision had posted their private information on his YouTube channel. A woman who asked to be referred to as Sarah alleges that she was manipulated into a relationship with Onision and Kai after they allowed her to move in with them at the age of 16. YouTube did not immediately respond to a request for comment, and that last sentence doesn't surprise me at all because YouTube are bloody awful at times. Okay, so there's quite a bit to kind of go through. I think the first thing I've got to say is congratulations to Patreon. You've done the right thing here. And YouTube, and especially right now Twitter, you need to maybe follow suit and follow Patreon's example. Especially you, Twitter, because this incident happened on your platform. But Patreon stepped up and done the right thing. And why this is a big thing to, big problem for Onision is Patreon is probably, I would think, his lifeblood financially. It has been for many YouTubers ever since the sort of apocalypse of 2017. Patreon, I mean, I might have to explain this because I actually had to explain to someone earlier what Patreon is. But Patreon is a site with a lot of content creators and so on put a little bit of content out on this site, and you people substance and they contribute money to them on sometimes on tiers, whether it's $5 $1 a month, $5 a month, however much it might be, So that's kind of what Patreon is. So for him to get kicked off of that, especially since the fact that he cannot be making, he's no way he making the money on YouTube he used to. And for those who don't know his history, he also has a little tax problem with the IRS. I don't know if he's paid that off or not, but I gather it was somewhere around $500,000 worth of back taxes that he owed them. More Onision tears. More Onision tears. That tastes so good. So, this is a definite hit on him. This is a definite hit. His reaction was curious, I'd say. Because it's difficult to tell whether he was having a breakdown, whether he was in character, doing his he's got very obsessed with the Joker movie recently, and seems to be done this really bad Joker attempt at the Joker character on screen, and which I think he was kind of doing in his video last night. I think it was there's an element of both there, because I don't believe for a fact that he really honestly is just taking the loss of Patreon on the chin, because I know how much money means to him. There was a little thing going back a little while ago. He made a video attacking a former patron of his on YouTube, because the Patreon just said, look, basically said, sent him a message saying, look, I can't afford to sub to you right now and whatever. Hopefully when my finances are a little better, I'll support you again. That was all it was. And then he still did this video also like, what, you can't spare $2 a month? Like, first of all, look, I don't have a Patreon. I'm a tiny little YouTuber. If I ever get to even the sort of point where I maybe need to invest in this a bit more and have to set up a Patreon, quite frankly, I'd be happy if anyone gave me money at all. I'd be flattered, and because no one has to give you money for doing this. I'd be flattered if anyone gave me anything for doing what I do. I don't think I'm worth that, to be honest. And maybe if I do, I don't know, for whatever reason, I do manage to grow a little bit and start and able to put a bit more time into developing this and doing this a bit more seriously. I might go down that route. But I'd be just thankful that anyone would support me at all. But that says a lot about him. One, how he obviously is viewing the finances and so on, but also his sense of entitlement as well, which amongst all his other horrible qualities as a human being, his sense of fucking entitlement. But yes, as I said, he cannot be taking, as much as he's trying to blow this off as a joke still, this one I know is going to hurt. And this is, I think, the first nail in this guy's coffin is Patreon doing this. This is an absolute nail in his coffin, and I think there's going to be more to come. It's interesting that in that video he did, he mentioned, you called the FBI on me. That didn't work. Well, first of all, the FBI are investigating him, and I'll touch on that a little bit more in a minute, but that's not going to be an overnight thing there, Gregors. Not going to work that way. But he also played it off as the fact that it was just all his trolls and haters coming together to, just because they hate him so much and we haven't got anything on him, so he's being censored because he's being censored because we don't like him and we bullied Patreon into kicking him off. No, dickhead, you were caught red-handed doxing. That's the problem. Should have read Patreon's, terms and conditions and so on. It's their platform. They're within their rights to kick you off. Just as YouTube are well within their rights to kick either one of us off. Not a lot we can actually do about it. I mean, really. But that's him. That's Greg, Onision, James, whatever your name is these days. That's his MO. He's just he cannot accept responsibility for anything he's done wrong. He's absolutely narcissistic. I don't use that term sort of lightly either. The guy's a narcissist. Ooh. But now I mentioned Chris Hansen earlier. Obviously, those who've been following this story know Chris Hansen is quite famous journalist in America and has made a reputation for exposing sexual predators. It's kind of something he's kind of famous for. He's also on YouTube now, and he's been investigating Onision for a while. I'm not going to go back through all the other videos, but that he's done interviewing people. Now I would say, as a brief side note, there had been a big petition out by people to try and get him Onision off of Patreon, but it sounds as if Chris Hansen and his assistant Vincent may have had a hand in this. Now, as I said, I got the chance to listen to a few videos today. I suggest you want to look really more into details. There's a YouTuber called Deity, or I just really kind of discovered today as a result of this. Please go and check him out. And he's done some numerous. He's been really following this story today, and he's been in contact with Chris Hansen's assistant Vincent, and he's even done an interview over the phone with Vincent, which is up on Deity's channel. Please go and check that out. But it sounds as if they had enough. I mean, I'm sure a guy like Chris Hansen had enough traction to be able to get hold of somebody like Patreon and say, "Hey, what's this going on here?" So I don't know. I think he may have played a part in this. Now, so I mentioned earlier about the FBI, and this guy Vincent, on his interview with Deity, did sort of mention that you've got to understand this, that it's not necessarily like a slam dunk case against the guy yet. I mean, I think, if I'm remembering this correctly, I think there may be some allegations of rape that are going to come out against Onision. Those would be very, very difficult to prove. It's not going to be a clear-cut thing, but it will be investigated. But it was what was revealed in this, that the FBI's got enough sort of evidence to conduct an investigation. Whether they'll have enough evidence to actually charge him or get him convicted of anything, it's not necessarily a slam dunk case. I think everyone is already thinking he's halfway to jail. Which we all hope he is. We all hope he's we all hope he's going to be boarding with the warden before long. And Kai as well, who I'll touch on in a little bit. But we have to be, you've got to be aware that it's not necessarily a clear-cut thing. Now, what was revealed in the interview that he did with Vincent was Vincent did mention that the FBI are in possession of a couple of laptops or mobile devices that I think have been handed over by some of the victims of the alleged abuse. I use the word alleged in this particular context because he hasn't been convicted yet, so I do have to stress that point. And what, if anything, I think he'll be gotten on is if there is, like lewd images or something he's sent, because especially that at the time, those were people that were underage. This is what the allegation is. So that means if that's true, I think both him and Kai are fucked. They are both in trouble. Another point to touch on. So I meant to touch on this a minute ago when I was on about Onision's kind of stroke meltdown with it, whatever it was, whatever that video was, whether it was a meltdown, whether it was an act. I'm inclined to think it was a little of both. I sincerely hope his kids were not in that house at the time when that happened, because that can't, even if he's putting an act on, I'm sure that can't be pleasant. And there's definite concerns about his children, and I think quite people are legitimately concerned about that, and rightly so, because we know that whatever face he puts on this is going to be hurting him. He could be flying off the handle in there, and you don't want to think what he might do if he really has become unhinged. I don't know, because I mean he went on a I just should say as well, he went on a live stream sort of later in the evening. He was kind of passing the whole thing off as being it was a joke. I was just trying to try, but I think there was definitely an air of he's a defeated man there. He's I don't think he's not. I don't think he's taking this well. He can't be, because this is his livelihood, and he depends on this. And as I said, there is that tax bill to think about as well, which I'm not entirely sure if he's paid off or not. So now, as far as I know about the kids, someone did put out about his children. Someone did put out that there are plans. There might be something in the pipeline about that. So maybe people who watch this maybe don't go and phone up Child Protective Services in the United States. And what I understand, there may be something in the pipeline ready to intervene there if needs be. So it might be best, not even if you are concerned, not to poke that particular bear if there is something in place. This is kind of coming from someone who's fairly close to the situation. So yeah, so this could be. Then of course got to talk about Kai. Now, Kai's a difficult one for me. Kai was one time, just so people know, was Taylor. Who used to go by the YouTube handle Laney-bot, now goes by Cool Guy Kai. Basically, Kai's transitioned from female to male. It's a bit. I've got weird feelings on Kai. I think Kai is a victim of him as well, but at the same time, Kai has also now become a willing accomplice, I think, because if you look at a lot of the allegations here, I think a lot of from what I've seen, I think a lot more of the evidence is probably more damning against Kai than it is against Onision, because Kai seems to be the one who's facilitated bringing these people these girls into that relationship and into that house. And to be clear, Kai's Patreon has not gone away. So, because Kai, I should say, was not involved with the doxing, which is why, so Kai's Patreon is still there. Onision, by the way, did have another Patreon account, which was some joke thing I think he set up for his blow-up sex doll or something, which is, I think, yeah, whatever, but apparently I don't think it had any patrons, but my understanding was there was content on that. Now, Deity reported earlier today, because I think he was one of the people who reported it, that particular Patreon account is gone as well now. That's been taken down. Kai's is still up. Now, whether Onision will try and set up a new one and hope he'll get away with it, I don't know. I don't think he will, because I think as soon as he gets found out, people will be letting Patreon know. Maybe he will just try and plug the hell out and try and make it up through Kai's, and because I'm pretty damn sure he probably controls the purse strings there as well. I'm fairly confident of that. So yeah, so yeah, Kai. I got distracted. I kind of got distracted because I mentioned the thing about deity. Right. Yeah, Kai. As I said, I have mixed feelings on for that reason. That I think Kai is a victim, but is also now a willing accomplice, and so it's different. So that's kind of my feelings on Kai. But I'll sum up, really. I think this is the first nail in Onision's coffin. I would say the other platforms like YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, maybe Facebook. I don't know if he's on Facebook. I think you need to look at what Patreon is doing and follow suit. Now, as a general rule, and I've said this a number of times, I don't really agree with deplatforming people. It's not really my thing I agree with. It is a general rule. But this guy needs to be gone. YouTube, you need this guy needs to be gone from your platforms permanently. Patreon's already got rid of him. Twitter, you may have got rid of that tweet, but people got the screenshots, and this happened on your platform. Why is his account still up there? Why is he still there? He needs to be gone. And the reason I say that is, if he's done, and I think I'm fairly confident that there is a definite element of truth that he has groomed. He's groomed underage girls, and they've approached and he's facilitated this through YouTube, and he needs to be gone. I think I'd say Kai needs to be gone as well. But even if this grooming thing wasn't a thing, he has done so many shitty things on YouTube that he needs to be gone. This guy needs to be off this platform, and YouTube would be a better place for Onision not being there, honestly. Now, I know that's obviously, there's a lot, because I know a lot of channels, find, do kind of good reporting on the kind of, the drama that always surrounds him. I mean, people think, well, I'm making a blooming, I'm going to get views off of making this video. Yeah, maybe I am. Who knows? But do you know what? I couldn't care less. If it meant I couldn't care less if I never had to make a video about him again. If he is gone from this fucking platform, good riddance to him. Hopefully, we'll see if the FBI turn up something on him. We'll see. But he needs to be gone from this, because he's a. I hate to use words like this, but he is a fucking cancer on YouTube, and he needs to be gone. But I think this is the first step. Patreon, here's to you. You did the right thing. You got rid of this guy, and you've hit him where he's been hit where it hurts him the most, in his pocket. And I'm so goddamn glad that's happened. Cheers, Greg. Salute.